solo, they would finally go, "Number one, you're number one." It took a long time to sometimes to win them over. To me, I remember that the most, is I had a lot to prove and go, okay, I know that you guys think I'm just a pop band guitar player, but check this out. You know? Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Well, the reason we were able to do this show, to have a Dragon, to have all those other things, is because we did an album, and that album was Sacred Heart, of course. So we had to be, you know, sure of that we liked the material, that we felt it would translate well. And of course we wrote an album that did translate well, because it was very dark and very Dio-esque, I guess. And we were able to translate some of the songs into a live venture as well, Sacred Heart being one of them, which I think, you know, turned out to be a magnificent piece to be able to do live, because we were able to, I mean, I didn't have to do an awful lot except fight the dragon once in a while, but these guys had to play and play and play and play while all the other things were happening, while the knights were killing each other, and while the dragon was trying to kill the knights on the side, and while other things were happening. So it's probably hard for them, but I used to be able to watch it from that perspective. So I knew that the song worked so well, and it did. It just worked. Sacred Heart was one of my favorites, but my favorite song from that album is Rock and Roll Children. Always will be my favorite song from that album, anyway, because it had a strong meaning to me. I tend to write songs about people. I think that that's the greatest collection of inspiration I could ever find. Not only inspiration, but I mean, what great subjects. Because people are crazy, and they're not crazy, and they're loving, and they're horrible, and they're all the things that, you know, that we know that they are. So, you know, what a great plethora of information to draw from. So, in writing that particular song, I wrote it from the perspective that, you know, in my rock and roll life, I've always been, you know, had always been looked down upon for having hair too long in the time when it wasn't fashionable, and liking and playing the wrong kind of music when it wasn't fashionable, and being labeled as a ne'er-do-well and you know, just a dirty, drug-using person when, you know, that was not fair either. So I remember what it was like. So I tried to put that in the same perspective of someone a lot younger than me at that time, what they had to go through, someone who liked to wear leather clothing, and all the other people who were wearing the miniskirts and little tartan dresses going, "You're a freak." Well, you know, it's tough to deal with. It's not only tough to deal with from your peers, but it's real tough to deal with within yourself. So I wanted to write that song about rock and roll children, because I know what they're all about. And so the song was about people who ran away from it all. They just ran away and said, "I can't take this anymore." And you know, at 15 or 16, they just ran away together, and you know where that led? Nowhere, because you have to have some maturity to deal with it. But it was a poignant piece for me. And every time I would perform the song, I always would well up. Always. I just always would well up inside myself, because, you know, you have to have some passion for what you do, and that was my passion for it. So that song was the most important of them all to me. The others pale in comparison, but I'm glad we did Sacred Heart because it allowed us to use the dragon.
My favorite experience? Well, it's going to have to be an amalgam of experiences, because they're all so great, to be honest with you. I guess the greatest one would be the fact that I just was able to make a dream come true. As corny as it sounds, you can make dreams come true. My favorite singer was and is Ronnie James Dio, and I got into his band. So I'm a fan that got into the band. Not a gig master who plays guitars and then they need a guitar player and you go back and you borrow the CDs to learn the songs so you can, you know, do the gig. I knew the songs already because I listened to them for all my life. So that was a great thing. That was a great thing for me, and still is. And I think part of it was when we write together, some of that songwriting that I gleaned from Ronnie by listening was passed on to me. And so that I feel one of my favorite things is when I feel like I can contribute things as a songwriter based upon that, because I have gleaned things from this man and then can contribute to this band.
Being able to be in get a band together with Richie that was, of course, Rainbow, was very special for me for a lot of reasons. My first opportunity to be someone on a larger scale, my first opportunity to work with someone who was my hero and who I could learn from, and it taught me how to be a man of the world. Before that, I was a kid from upstate New York, and after that one, when you're thrown into the fire, you better dance around quickly, you're going to burn your feet. So I learned how to dance really, really quickly, and I got pretty good at it. So Rainbow was very special at the time, and now after all these years, how many years it's been, what, 30, 28 years, 27 or 28 years, to realize that people still remember that band, and who still, and musicians who still idolize what we did, and who have patterned their lives upon what we did, when we probably didn't think it was that great. We were just doing our gig. Hey, wow, this is great. Let's do an album. Let's go to France and record. It was all fun for us. But to realize that the influence that has come from that and the longevity is stunning to me at the moment. But Rainbow was, again, the really beginning of all of this for me. I mean, it was certainly not the beginning, but it was the beginning of the big time. And it's something that's never left my mind, never will. It's part of me. It's ingrained in there. And I like to look at it just that way. Wow, we did great things. We did great things. I'm not looking to do it again. I've always had a vision about what this band was supposed to be all about. And this vision was only one thing. Whatever you do it really well. Hey, everybody can't like what you do. You can, I mean, I've written some pretty bad songs in my life and been part of some pretty bad bands in my life. But you know what? I always felt at least I did that bad stuff really, really well. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the song. It's all about what you write. It's all about going zoom, zoom, zoom. I mean, come on, you're not talking about, you know, an aria from Puccini now, but you're talking about something that touches someone in some little part of them, some string reverberates.
That's right.
So zoom, zoom, zoom. I hear it and go, that's a great idea. That's so cool. But I think that once you start being a combatant, once again, in this arena that I've been a combatant in for such a long time, I think it's senseless. I don't think that you need to fight against whatever trends are here now. We're not that anymore. I'm not that anymore. I had my time that way. I'm not going to be someone who's going to give you a Beyonce song. I'm not going to give you,
That's right.
you know, I'm not going to give you a climax song. I'm not going to give you an Evanescence song. I'm not going to do that. That's not what I do, because my and therefore our audience is what they remember us from and what they expect from us now. They expect us to be what we were, and they expect us to be as good as that now. So we're not. It's not a competitive thing for Dio anymore. It's not competitive. It's a band that will always play really, really well and be proud of what it does, and know that its peers will go, good one, very good.
That's right.
And if it touches that chord with people out there, and hopefully it does, then it will. But we don't write songs for that generation of people or that generation of people, because we are our own generation of band. And I think to duel with what's out there is absolutely stupid. So we know what we are, and we'll just hopefully continue to make, as I said before, you know it's going to be great no matter what. It's going to sound great. So that's what I think is in store for us, and lots of touring still. That's what we do. We're a playing band. I'm a playing person. That's all I ever wanted to do. We make albums. You know why? Because we take it on the road and tour. Wow, all right. Because that's where you prove yourself. You only prove yourself by playing live. It's the only way. I mean, anybody can, use samples and tapes. I mean, what's that all about? That doesn't prove it. Because, again, your peer will be there one day, Nico McBrain, my mate, will be there one day. He's going to go, oh, you didn't sing that, did you? Well, I won't let him hear me say that, and I'll never do that. So anyway, that's what we are. That's what we shall become. That's what we will remain as.